had a little exposure to Samskritam through school and through our mother tongues or through our mother's teachings, more so, or even your grandmother's teachings at home, etc. And many of us have not been able to carry forward that in a very desirable way. And I, despite studying it in my school, really pretty much did not learn it much. And now recently, in the past 10 years, as I am falling in love with it again, I just find it an amazing discovery of what has been a wonderful contribution of our forefathers to the world of spoken languages. So I would like to share my own experience through tidbits today with all of you. I'll probably take an hour, so we may go up till until around 7:45, including some question answer time. I'll try to be as quick as possible. Okay, and as usual, as is the practice in the so-called Vangmaya, or the world of Samskritam, we call it. In fact, we call the world as Vangmaya in Sanskritam, which means filled with sounds or speech. So that's something, a lovely way to describe the world. So the Mangala Charanam today. Many have happened, but let's add our own here. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwarah, Guruhu Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So here Guru is being praised in many ways as the creator, the Chaturmukha Brahma, the sustainer, the Vishnu, the refresher, the god Maheshwara. I would like to call him the refresher. And then Guru is verily the ultimate all-encompassing Brahman indeed. To such a prosperity-bearing Guru, my salutations, is how this prayer is unfolding. So the devotion and the gratitude is a key aspect of our language, as is in our culture. So the way we are going to approach today is to learn at little glimpses of beauty of Sanskritam that I myself am discovering as I tread the path. So poetics, poetic meters is something I found fascinating, and it's called Chandaha in Sanskritam. So picking the very example that I just recited now, so let's look at it from poetic measures. Okay, so this verse has 32 letters and is in 4 segments, 4 padas we call it. Okay, 4 quarters, and each pada has 8 letters, and so 32. And there is a yati, or a gap available, so that you can code it into the ragas appropriately with the breathing gaps and things like that. And in this is called the shloka meter. As we know, shloka is also a common term used in all Indian languages as well as in Sanskritam to mean any verse, but shloka is actually specifically the title of one type of verse, which is a shloka chandas. Okay, so here we find this second shloka here below, which describes the lakshana, or the nature of the shloka meter. So that itself is in shloka meter, interestingly, which is a good practice in Sanskritam. When they describe some lakshana of a chandas, they actually put it in the same chandas, so that it's doubly illustrated. Shloke shashtam guru gneyam sarvatra lagu panchamam dvichatushpadayoho hrisvam saptamam dirgam anyayoho. So it beautifully describes that the 6th letter in each pada should be a guru letter, and the 5th one should be a lagu letter in all the padas. So the lagu is the green letters and the guru is the red letters, as I have highlighted. And what is guru and what is lagu? Obviously it is the time required, and how they determine the time required is related to whether actually it has a dirgha swara or a hrisva swara in the primary way. Okay, well, if it has a dirgha swara, then it is a guru akshara, and a hrisva swara, it's a lagu akshara. Then there are secondary reasons and traits for which some letters, even though they are hrisva, get gurutva due to the compounded consonants present in the following letter. For example, this Gurur Brahma, this akar, it's a simple hrisva akaranta bra, but because of the hma, hakara added on to the ma, tagged on to the ma, this has timing is stretching the pronunciation of the bra, and this was keenly observed by, so this is called a guru akshara. though I have not highlighted here because there is no rule pertaining it to it being guru or lagu. So this here tells, the rules tell the sixth is has to be a guru, this ru. Okay, ru is a guru because of this compound letter here, and then the fifth has to be a lagu everywhere. So the gu, pa, ma, ra, these are all lagu aksharas. So like this, and couple of more rules are there in the odd and even padas. Some additional letters have to be lagu and guru. They are all described here. Okay, so this is a kind of anti-symmetric meter. So this is the most popular meter in Sanskritam. Tons of verses you will find in this meter. It's a short and sweet meter, so it's used very extensively. Okay, and at another end of the spectrum, even further more complicated chandas are there. But this is another type of chandas here. One pada only I have shown here below. Syad Indra Vajra Yadi Tau Jagau Gaha. Here the Kavi describes the Indra Vajra's characteristics in a verse which is following the Indra Vajra characteristics itself. And how it is, because three letters are grouped, okay, and each group is given a title based on the Lagu Guru combination it carries. So this is, for example, Guru Guru Lagu, Guru Guru Lagu, Lagu Guru Lagu, and then Guru Guru. So the last two is like a couplet which is not having a triple combination. It is two individual letters which has the Guru Guru enforced in the Indra Vajra. So actually that's what is described in the verse. Tau Jagau Gaha. In coding that tau, he means it should be ta ta. It's a dvivachana tau, ta ta, jagau, ja and ga, and gaha, one ga to end with. So there are 8 such groupings because there are 3 contributors. So 8 groupings, 2 power 3 or 8 groupings come. And Pingala, one of our ancient Shastragnyas, he coded this Chanda Shastra. I mean, it was there before him, but he put it into verses and coded it. And he, you can say, is the first guy who propounded a binary theory, because today in digital electronics we actually use this as zeros and ones and combinations thereof. So Pingala had unraveled such combinations long before, okay, and used it in the meter of verses. Okay, so this is a lovely thing that we learn in Samskritam. The next thing we see in poetics, one of the next things, I mean plenty of them are there, is the alankara or the decor related to the verses. Okay, and there are 3 types there: Shabda alankara, Artha alankara, Ubhaya alankara. Ubhaya alankara simply is a combination of both of them being present that makes it even more superior. So there are essentially 2, Shabda and Artha alankaras. So one is based on sound, another is based on meaning. So the Arthalankara is usually considered the superior one because it takes a lot more effort from the Kavi to bring in Arthalankara, okay, in addition to following the meter rules and giving a meaningful sentence, etc., in a compact verse. So the number of controlling conditions under which the poets work is incredible. Okay, so not anything can be called a poem in Sanskritam. For that we have verse forms. So many kritis don't follow poetic meters, then they are called gadyas. Okay, we have plenty of creations of that nature also, where also tidbits of alankaras are thrown in, but doesn't have to have a meter. So let us look at this first example verse. Sharada Sharadam Boja Vadana Vadanam Buje Sarvada Sarvada Smakam Sannidim Sannidim Kriyat. So this is a prayer to Sharada, the Saraswati Mata. And you can see the poet has used Shabda Alankara, Sharada, Sharada, Vadana, Vadana, Sarvada, Sarvada, Sannidim, Sannidim. So do we ask, I mean, is he blindly just repeating just for rhyming or just for sound production? No, no, no. He is actually taking 2 different clever meanings of each word. If everyone can mute themselves, that will be nice. He is cleverly taking the 2 different meanings in each place. For example, in the Sarvada Sarvada, okay, so one Satyavati Bhushan Varye, please kindly mute yourself if you don't mind. Yeah, so Sarvada Sarvada, one Sarvada means always. It's a common meaning in Sanskritam, means at all times. And another Sarvada here means the lady who gives everything. Sarvam dadati iti sarvada, one who gives everything. Okay, so this way cleverly, for example, two different meaning has been coded into different places, but yet the sound rhyming has been obtained by the Kavi. So you see a lot of play like this. Okay, so the Bhavartha, of course, Hindi I have, it's fairly simple. Sharat Kal mein utpan kamal ke saman mukhwali. See, that is also a color. Kamal ke saman mukhwali. We call it simile. Okay, that is there in the first portion. और सब मनोरथों के देने वाली मनोरथों को देने वाली शारदा सब संपत्तियों के साथ मेरे मुख में सदा निवास करे. सो ऐसा अर्थ भी बहुत गहन होता है, अच्छा होता है. देन वी सी दिस अनदर वर्स हियर. This is from Shivatandava Stotram, one of the early first verse or something like that. Jatattavi galajjala प्रवाहपावितस्थले गलेवलम्ब्य लम्बिताम्बुजङ्गतुङ्गमालिकां डमड्डमड्डमड्डमन्निनादवड्डमर्वयं चकारचण्डताण्डवं तनोतु नः शिवः शिवम्. I'm not very good in coding this into tones, but so see how he has played lot of repetitive letters, so that at particular key places drumming sound emerges in the kavya itself. And this kavya is actually about the damaru play of Shiva also in one part, okay, where he goes damad damad like this. Okay, and here too the Kavi, in addition to letter Lalitya, he also has word Lalitya like this, Shiva Shivam. So here one Shiva is about actually mentioning Lord Shiva, another Shiva is about the quality of Shivatva, the Shivam, which is applied into the sentence here. So this last portion, Tanotu nah Shiva Shivam, is the prayer part, and rest is actually the beautiful color describing the Shiva, Lord Shiva, his Gunagana. So for example, Jatatavi Galajjala is from his hair, okay, Bhagirathi descends to his throat. Jala is of course Bhagirathi or the Ganga river. So that's described there, and so on and so forth. Okay, Pravaha Pavitastale, in the Pravaha of that Jala, in the Kanta, in that place. Okay, Gale in the Kanta, Gala is Kanta. Avalambya Lambita Bhujanga Tunga Malikam, hanging the mala of snake, as if it is a mala. Like this he goes on. Okay, so the meaning is fairly straightforward. उनके बालों से बहने वाले जल से उनका कंठ पवित्र है, और उनके गल में सांप है जो हार की तरफ लटका है, और डमरू से डमट डमट की ध्वनि निकल रही है. भगवान शिव शुभ तांडव नृत्य कर रहे हैं. दैट इज द चकार चंड तांडवम. वे हम सबको संपन्नता प्रदान करें. सो वी कैन गिव द मीनिंग. यू कैन सी हाउ ऑल द कलर इज शॉर्न. Almost the gray color that I have used is how the meaning appears. We have necessarily to use it because we can better understand the meaning in our colloquial languages. But if you can climb into the Samskritam, not only we will get the color, we will also get the meaning straight away. Okay, it's not that difficult. It doesn't take too much effort to get to that level. Okay, and then another example. उपमा यत्र सादृश्य लक्ष्मीः उल्लसति द्वयोः हंसीव कृष्णते कीर्तिः स्वर्गांगमवगाहते. This is from Appaya Dikshita, one of the great composers of the Carnatic music world, not many centuries ago, just a few centuries ago, maybe in the Vijayanagara Empire or post Vijayanagara Empire, that time, one of the last few great Hindu kingdoms that existed in India. So his verse here describes actually the lakshana or the trait of a upama alankara. Upama is one of the more famous alankaras. It's about simile, what we call simile in English. So he describes Upama, where she recites like a Sadrishya Lakshmi, like a Lakshmi who describes similarity. Ullasiti dvayoho, she decorates two things at the same time. Hamsiva Krishna te kirtihis swarganga mavagahate. Like the Hamsi, like the lady swan, hey Krishna, your fame, your kirti will pervade everywhere. This kind of description he has given. So here the Hamsi is the Upamanam, or what we call as the example that is used to describe the case, which is Krishna. the Prakruta case is Krishna. He is the Upameya. Kirti is the Sadharana Dharma. Kirti is there in Krishna. Kirti is there in Hamsi. And Eva is the here Hamsi Eva. So Eva is the like. It is actually means like. Okay, so similar or like that. Upamana vachaka shabda. So the kavis who use all four in their simile, they're called it's called Purna Upama Alankara. Like this, tons of alankaras are described in Samskritam, and deep study has happened as to how to make these verses colorful with those alankaras. Okay, Hamsi also happens to be Bhagirath's daughter's name, and Sage Kauts, who was Sage Kautsa's wife, one of the great sages. Okay, now don't get scared by this slide. My intention is not to teach you everything here, but to show you how much thought went into this language. Okay, so here right side panel, what I have is a series of 14 sutras. That is the first 14 sutras of our grammar, Samskritam grammar. What it is a list of the letters, list of the swaras and vyanjanas. I'll just read it out to you. See the brilliance. I, un, rul, rik, eong, ayauch, hayavarat, lan, yamangananam, jhabai, ghadadash, jabagadadash, kapha chatatha, chatatau, kapai, shashasar, hal. Okay, now our grammarians, led by Panini, of course, who coded one of the most significant grammar books that exist in our grammar called Ashtadhyayi, he also uses these sutras, though it is not part of his writing. It pre-existed him, but he uses these sutras, okay, intelligently to code his grammar. For example, why the letters are in this order? Why not in the way we learn as babies? A, I, E, U, Ru, like that. That is also there. That's also a practice we do. But here they are reorganized in this Maheshwara Sutra, and these sutras are supposed to come from the Damaru of Maheshwara himself. So it does have that rhyme in it. So this codes the swaras first, you see, I, U, R, and here is a short placeholder. It's what we call as a sign in software terminology for all the variations of the akara, E for all the variations of ikara, and so on and so forth. Okay, and they are carefully organized so that Panini can say, if wherever he wants to use a, E, U in a formula for constructing some sound, he can just say an as the variable name. Okay, he calls an and letter, so we know immediately it means it can be a, E, or U. So like this, so if he says ak, if he uses the variable ak, it means a, E, U, rul, like this. Okay, this last letter, they are all called technical letters in his formulas. They are there only for defining the variable. They themselves don't participate as a candidate in the list. So beautiful. If you can see, there is set theory, there is variable construction, there is constant definition, everything involved in his grammar definition. It's a piece of amazing software. Lot of software engineers, lot of whom are Indians, of course, also in this world, are diving into Samskritam, attracted by his Ashtadhyayi, which is a thin booklet of 8 chapters with 4,000 sutras. Very small sutras, some of them longer than a line. But they are like programming statements. Okay, so first thing he does is organize letters like this, and then you see these letters, how organized the letters are. Everybody has a place in a table called Sthana Yatna Viveka. What is the position of pronunciation of each letter, what is the effort involved, are all carefully used to define the position of each letter in this chart, and so also organize it in these sutras, and accordingly create the rules of pronunciation and combinations of this letter in the language. So why is Sanskritam so congruent and beautiful to hear, and so also the Indian languages and Indo-European languages that are derived with a similar engineering, is because of that engineering of swaras and vyanjanas, every letter being actually a combination of vyanjana and swaras in combination, and the consideration for matra, time period, etc., makes it, and for breath, makes it a beautiful language. So look here, the Ka, kha, ga, gha, nya are kantasthas. We call they generate from the throat. Cha, cha, ja, jha, nya generate from the talu, okay, which is the lower portion of the mouth, okay, and murdha, ta, tha, da, dha, na is the upper portion of the mouth. So that you can see the tongue striking the upper portion. You can pronounce it yourself, observe what's happening with your tongue, your throat, your sound and your voice, and see the truth of all these things. Dantaha, these use teeth. To say this, we will strike the tongue to the teeth. The, tha, the, dha, na. And then oshtau, we always close the lips when pronouncing this. Pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. This way they are classified. So horizontally there is a quality, vertically there is a quality. Okay, this vertical quality is brought out in the Maheshwara Sutras. Actually, it's more following the vertical qualities. And then there are other sutras to define all this Alpa Prana, Mahaprana, all those variations. Whether the pronunciation is open mouth, with the breath, is it with the voice, without voice, voiced, unvoiced, everything is classified. Including, for example, you see sh, sh, sa, ha, they are called ushma, they are called heaty letters because they have hot air flow involved. So this way the mouth was fully analyzed, different portions were nominated as participants, and based on how the letters are pronounced, this classification arrived. Okay, so you can see the mouth parts in the naming: kanta, talu, murdha, danta, ushtav, etc. Shwasa, ghosha, ghosha. In fact, the voice box was very well understood by them. So voice box and up to the tip of the mouth and nose is called the antarika prayatna, internal effort. And below voice box, the involvement of the chest and the throat, etc., is called bahya prayatna, external effort. Okay, the aeration effort. So all these are beautifully analyzed, and it's just amazing to see this. This chart, of course, is prepared by one of my Guru Varyas. Vyoma Samstha is a samstha that teaches Samskritam for free and runs on contributions and volunteerism. Saumya Krishnapura, who is also a proud Bengalurian, though she resides in Chennai nowadays, she has prepared this and continues to teach all these lessons to us. Okay, now another chart from another Guru Varya who is teaching in my MA class called Tilak Varya. He is from Veda Vijnana Gurukula, a hotbed of lovely Sanskrit Pandits, also in Bangalore, in Magdi Road, along Magdi Road it's present. They're producing wonderful youngsters with amazing Panditya in Samskritam and in the Indian Hindu Paddhatis, etc. Okay, so here what is this? What he has done is, he has put a flowchart of how Panini designed the language. Okay, so Panini starts from what is called dhatu, the root. Okay, there are 2000 dhatus, and he created a patha of those 2000 dhatus. So for example, to do is kr dhatu, to do. Okay, gum is to go. Okay, like this he created 2000 dhatus. Which language has 2000 variants of verbs? For example, the language has 20 variations for movement, like this. Okay, very subtle. Some of them we don't even know what was the subtle variation our ancient kritikaras intended. Sometimes we discover some old Sanskrit work and try to inference in what context that dhatu has been used to see if it means something different than normal meaning that we know of. So this way. And then from each dhatu, he defined different types of tails called pratyayas to be attached to generate words. So if you attach the so-called ting pratyaya, ting is again a technical term, variable name. Okay, ting pratyaya, then you get a kriyapada, a verb. If you attach a krit pratyaya, you get something, an intermediate form called pratipadikam, which is the base form for a noun. And from that you apply some sup pratyaya to generate a normal namapada. Okay, or a noun. This way he has created language. So in Sanskrit nothing is randomly dropped in. Sarvam dhatujam aha shakatayanasya putraha, something like that is sutra is there, which means everything is from dhatu. Learn so from the teachers, like that some sutra is there. So this way the movement, so for example any noun stem, this is a noun stem, can be taken and a stri pratyaya can be applied to feminize it. So how, for example, karya karta becomes karya kartri. So kartru becomes kartri due to stri pratyaya, and then it goes through some other sup pratyaya transformations, just like the masculine versions, to generate a strilinga form. So there are techniques to convert the linga like that. Okay. So, and also there are techniques to come from nouns and make a verb. For example, we use in English words like to do a bush or something like that. If bush is become famous to do some gaffa, we use the phrase to do a bush. He did a bush, like that. Ancient times, Sanskrit guys had thought of such needs. And for example, see, Vasudeviya means to do like Vasudeva. So now we can use all the verb forms of Vasudeviya. Okay. So this kind of techniques. And so what is to do like Vasudeva? To carry his son on his head and cross a river. Such kind of effort is what is being talked about when we say that. Okay. So this kind of amazing thing is there. And also here on this side, I just showed one flow out of this. We start with a balaka pratipadika, attach its teeth stri pratyaya called tap, technical term again, and generate balika for because of the top application. He has rules for doing this conversion, and from balika we apply the sup pratyaya, this sup pratyaya, to generate balikam, which is actually a to the girl. So this now is a proper word we can use, to the girl. So this is in a vibhakti, in a proper entitlement in the sentence. Okay. So this way technology is very advanced. So what is Panini's work? It is a word generator. Now you have to use your desire. Say I want to generate to the girl. How do I generate the sound for to the girl? You can walk through his grammar and know the pure forms. Of course, it's not like we are going to always refer to his engine and generate the words, but his engine can be used by the pandits to purify. If we make a mistake, they can verify against the engine to say that was impure or pure form, because it will pass to pass the Panini's test, the purity test. Okay, this way. Okay, now we will look at some verses related to health, and this is from the okay, anybody has any intermediate question, you are free to unmute yourself and shout out to me. I will pause and try to answer you, but we will try to also have some time for question answer in the end. Okay, this is from an Ayurvedic grantha called Ashtanga Hridayam. I had the recent fortune to study one of the chapters of Ashtanga Hridayam because I was asked to prepare some trial teaching sessions as a part of our MA course. We are taught how to teach something new in Samskritam. So we were asked to read something and teach that. So I studied this Ashtanga Hridayam, one of the chapters. It's a massive treatise. 120 chapters. I just took one chapter okay, and studied it and taught it in couple of sessions to my classmates and other students. So in that Ashtanga Hridayam, I was amazed to find, this is one of the early chapters, how detailed work has been done and coded in Sanskritam. Okay, for example, this is about Danta Palanam, taking care of the teeth. Okay, so अर्कन्यग्रोध खदिरकरञ्जककुभादिजं प्रातर्भुक्त्वा च मृद्वग्रं कषायकटुतिक्तकं कनीन्यग्रसमस्थौल्यं प्रगुणं द्वादशाङ्गुलं भक्षयेदन्नपवनं पक्षयेद्दन्तपवनं दन्तमांसान्यबाधयन्. You can see some keywords make sense to us. Dvadasha angula, 12 inches, I mean not inch, 12 widths of thumbs. Okay, so and then dantamamsa, that is actually obviously the supporting flesh structure for the teeth. Okay, such portions. Okay, gum, and then so without bothering the gum, na badayan, without bothering. See, bother comes from Sanskrit badha. Okay, you see the how it is actually the root for many languages. Okay, and bakshayet danta pavanam. So this danta pavana is this brush. It's actually twig, a medicinally qualified twig of many trees. The list of trees is given. So like this. So as we as part of this teaching, first thing what we do is we take these verses, we reorganize the verse into sentence form, because the Kavi would have moved the words around according to his prasa needs, chandas needs. So we reorganize it, do some inferences where additional words are required contextually, and then color code them to see what is what and all that. For example, this Bhakshayet is a Kriya Pada, and like that we go. That's called Anvaya Kriya. And then we do what we call simple meaning. Tatparya we call it. Here it's very straightforward. Okay, I put it in Samskritam also. I'm not going to what you call bore you with all the details, but essentially if we go through this exercise, the meaning becomes very apparent to us. In the morning and after each meal, one should clean their teeth by chewing. Basically nowadays it's brushing, but it was chewing with a pungent, bitter or a romantic tasting twig. See, Bhakshayet is there here. Bhakshayet. Bhakshana, you know, it means to eat or chew. Okay. Tasting twig of 12 finger length, the width of the tip of a small finger. Where is that small finger tip? See, here somewhere anguli, staulyam. Here tiktam kashaya. Kaniya grasamastaulyam. See, kaniya.
Dwadashangulam.
Dwadashangulam is length. Okay. And Kaniyas Grasamas Taulyam is the thickness. It should be as thick as only the little finger, it says. Okay. So much detail is quoted in that verse. With a soft tip, that is where Mrudvagram, Mrudu Agram. Agra is the tip, should be Mrudu. Okay. This way the Kavi has coded the description. It should also be having kashaya tikta, that's what is it, kashaya katu tiktam. It should be having one of these medicinal tastes, etc. Okay, so beautiful. Okay, then in the same Ashtadhya, in the same Ashtanga Hridayam, there is one more tidbit about Ushna Jalena Snana Vidhi. The nature of taking a bath in hot water. What should be the caution and what is okay and what's not okay. He has quoted that. Ushnambuna dahkayasya parisheko balavah tenaiva tat tuttamangasya balahritkesha chakshusham. So, Ushnambu is hot water. Ushnambuna with hot water. Adahka. Okay, let me open what is there and then talk about it. Adahkayasya, the lower body. Parisheko balavaha. So, doing snana with the of the lower body with hot water definitely gives strength. Balavaha. It carries strength. Tenaiva tu tat uttamangasya. So, Adhakaya is lower body, Uttamanga is upper body. Uttamangasya balahrit. So it steals the strength if you put hot water on the upper body, basically head and its portions. Okay, he's asking us to avoid putting hot water on the head. So we should be using less hot water on the head. And also he says balahrit means stealer of the strength. Hrit means to steal. Okay. Hridaya also contains Hri for a reason. We will talk about that another time. Kesha Chakshusham. So Kesha, hair and eyes also hurt from hot water, he is saying. Okay. Very carefully he is describing the limitations. And if you observe, this Japanese Himavanaras, they have a hot spring that they visit in the winter. They never dive into it fully. They carefully float, keep their upper body above the hot water and take the heat from the lower body. So there is a lesson from them. They know their bodies better than we know now today. Their instincts are intact. So like this. And from wisdom, she is sprinkled all over in the Samskrita Granthas. For example, Ashaktanam Bhutanam Hita Chintanam is the title I gave. Basically, weaklings to think of their hita, how to think of the good for the weaklings is a Niti Bodha in part of Ashtanga Hridayam only. In the same Ashtanga Hridayam, a Kavi called, not a Kavi, actually a Bishak, a doctor, also a Kavi. They were multi-talented. So he coded this Niti into the same Adhyaya that I studied. So I put it down as a wisdom Subhashitam. अवृत्तिव्याधिशोकार्तान् अनुवर्तेत शक्तितः आत्मवत् सततं पश्येदपि कीटपिपीलिकम्. So what he is saying is, as per one's own ability, one should try to alleviate the troubles and pains of those without a means of living, the ill, and those with sorrows. Even the tiniest insects and ants should be treated as one's own. Pipilika in Sanskritam is an ant, such a beautiful name. Okay, and Kita we know is insect. Okay, so Atmavat, like oneself, Atmavat, like oneself, Satatam, always. Pashyet, may see, api also. So it speaks to you. The once you learn the language, it speaks to you. You can do all this work and come to a good translation in English. Okay, you don't have to depend on others' translation, though you can use it as a starting point. Huh? So this way. So what I have done here, see, anuvarteta is a kriya pada, pashyet is a kriya pada. I highlight that, put that the tail, because in our sentence order the kriya pada is the tailer, and then we add the headers on top, starting from the karta, for the one who does, and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay. Next, something about dharma, also found in the same Ashtanga Hridayam Grantha. Okay, I don't have to go to Manusmriti, Dharma Shastra, and things like that. These are sprinkled all over in our Upanishads and even in Ramayana, Mahabharata. A lot of Shubhashitas and Dharma Niyamas are taught even there. Okay, so I have picked up one related to Dharma from the Ashtanga Hridayam as an example. हिंसास्तेयान्यथा कामं पैशून्यं पुरुषानृते संभिन्नालापं व्यापदमभिध्यां दृग्विपर्ययं पापं कर्मेति दशधा कायवाङ्मनसैस्त्यजेत्. So let's look at the active part, which is always the last leg. See, dashadha papakarmam iti kaya vang manasaihi tyajet. So from our body, from our mouth or speech, and from our manas or internal thinking, let us reject these 10 papakarmas. Dashadha, different 10 varieties of papakarmas. What the list is there above. Okay, this is how the Kavi goes. Okay, I again won't try to bore you with complete details there, but see how carefully actionable sins like harming, hurting others, stealing, coveting other people's spouses, things like that. Sins of the speech like talking of dividing others, harsh talk, telling untruths, meaningless banter. Okay, mental sins like thought of harming another life, even thought, intolerance of another's good qualities. This is the Irshya. Okay, you will find the Irsha somewhere if you do dig into it. Okay, having an opinion opposing the scriptures, etc. Okay, so these kind of course, here last one, having an opinion opposing the scriptures, doesn't mean we can't question it and get an answer. Okay, means we should not throw it away. Okay, we can argue, not a problem. That means it can evolve. Okay. So then music, another world where Sanskrit is the lingua franca of the art. 64 different arts are described. Okay, and music is one of them. And one of the master treatises of many arts is Bharata Muni's work. Okay, called Natya Shastra. It actually has codings of Sangita, Natya, Natana, how to act, etc. In fact, also has lot of behavioral things and all of that it describes. It's not limited to Natya Shastra. It's interested. Okay, so here let's look at what he is trying to say there. षड्जश्च ऋषभश्चैव गान्धारो मध्यमस्तथा पञ्चमो धैवतश्चैव सप्तमोऽथ निषादवान् चतुर्विधस्त्वमेतेषां विज्ञेयं गानयोक्तृभिः वादी चैवाथ संवादी विवादी चानुवाद्यपि. So he is describing the 7 notes, okay, and also the 4 types of those notes, classification of 4 types called Vadi, Samvadi, Vivadi and Anuvadi, like this. Okay, and it goes on. Samvado madhyamagrame panchamasya rishabhasya cha षड्जग्रामे tu षड्जस्य संवादः पंचमस्य च. So now he is describing some classification of that Vadi, Samvadi, etc. How the tones in different gramas, in collections. Okay, Madhyama grama is a title given to some collection of tones, etc. Like that. Okay, so this way, seven swaras: Shadja, Rishabha, Gandhara, Madhyama. If you know why Sa, Ri, Ga, Ma, all of us almost know. If you didn't know, see, the names are actually the first letters of what the actual name of the tone is. Shadja, Rishabha, Gandhara, Madhyama, Panchama, Dvaita and Nishada. Dhaivata, Kshamyatam, not Dvaita. Dhaivata and Nishada. Okay, and some of them are having single frequency, some of them are available in variants. We know that. That's what is coded here. You can see the scales. You will have the base, Sarigama Padanisa, then you see the additional Re. Okay, the see if it is we use this is also a Samskritam practice, though it is on English letters. This underscoring is a lower tone, okay, and the upper lift line is an upper tone. So this is lower ma, this is upper ma. So this technique is actually a Vedic technique of giving swaras to the. So in addition to the letters, there are accent tone accents. Okay, for singing them properly in the Vedas. In Veda, it's very important. The tone is very important. Tone can even change the meaning, so you have to be very careful. Okay. All right. So, and of course, this dot below and dot above is something from the Western scale. This particular picture has derived. So wonderful. You can take the best of the different practices and put it into practice. So this way, Bharata Muni describes. Okay. Then same Bharata Muni, of course, describes some Natya Shastra too, because that's what his primary focus also is. So let us look at some sample verses. Okay. So he describes the Pataka and the Tripataka and so on and so forth, and the movements with those mudras. Okay. So let's read. Pataketu yada vakranamika tvangulir bhavet Tripatakaha savigneyaha karma chasya nibodata, and so on he goes. Okay, what is he telling in these sutras, beautiful sutras? He is telling, first verse is explaining how to form the mudras, how to form the Pataka mudra actually is described little earlier. I just picked up the more about the Tripataka here. So he is saying, like in Pataka, but in Tripataka, in addition to the Anamika, okay, the Anguli is also twisted this way. Okay, that's what he's describing. And then he's describing what we should do with this mudra. He's saying we should use this movement of the hand with this mudra for explaining, for example, different movements enacted with those mudras to demonstrate taking in something, keeping down something, refusing something, avoiding something, entering something, lifting something, saluting, and such activities. See, a dancer has to demonstrate the kavya with those motions, and these motions are coded in the dance shastra. Of course, the shastra has to be learnt as a practice from Guru Shishya, but the Pandits have also put it down so that the Gurus can use it as a reference to correct themselves if they are straying, if they are going astray, or it's a way of transferring the knowledge from one Guru to another Guru so that the knowledge can spread. So it's brilliant. The third verse explains when to use the mudra for demonstrating the application of sandal paste, wearing headdress, covering the nose, face, ears and such. So dancers make those movements like this dancer, lovely dancer on the screen is doing with mudras. So this way he describes. This is just a tidbit I picked up as I prepared for this talk. Next you see elements of architecture, lots of work in Vastu Shastra there. Sukhananda Vastu Shastram. So as we know, all of us are aware that in Vastu Shastra the area plan is divided into regions, and imaginary Vastu Purusha is placed, and where his head comes, certain things have to be there, the proportions and all that. So I just picked up one of the Vastu Shastra granthas called Sukhananda Vastu Shastra, picked up one verse from it, or you can actually call it, it's probably not a verse, it's a gadya. So you can see numbers are coded in letters. Okay, Radha means teeth in the mouth. So because humans have 32 teeth base, so 32, Radha represents 32, Bha represents 8, Abdi represents 4, Bhu represents 1, single Bhumi. Like this, Ashta Ashtam means 8 into 8. 64 it represents, multiplication of 8 with 8. And kham or quam represents one, sky, single. This way, our Jyotishkas and all these Vastu guys who use mathematics, they had a way of coding numbers using letters, using signs. For example, Ashtadikpalaka. So when he uses dik, then it is 8, like this. Okay, like this. Ashwa, 8 horses of the 7 horses of the sun. This way they code. Okay, so lot of techniques are there, and there are also direct letter codings. Bhaskara, one of our ancient mathematicians, he used letter codings. Okay, ka ka ga ga na, he would assign place value system using that and code verses with that. Imagine, it has to be somewhat of a meaningful verse with those letters. How much effort they would put. So this actually is telling us, for Vastu there can be a circle, a half circle, or a square zone. You see, Vrittardheva, Vrittaha, Ardhavrittaha va, Chatur Vritti. So four leg, four Vritti. Chatur Vritti means four portioned, that means a square, like that, and so on and so forth. Okay, square zone, 32 parts to be made, in which God's feet 8, 4 or 1 part be used to worship. In the chosen land of 64 parts, 4 pillars be made, and so on and so forth. He is going. This is just a tidbit I have picked up. So, of course, this picture is slightly different from the sutra. Looks like it doesn't have 64. Either the guy who drew it was a little careless, or it's from another verse. I just borrowed the picture. So it's having 9 by 9, but according to what is described here is 8 by 8 square. Okay, anyway. So now, with those few samples, let's come to me learning Samskritam. Oh, I have heard it's very tough. This was my status too. I was like this. Okay, I am too old or too young or too busy for this is our standard excuse. I am happy with the translations. Those who do put the effort to read some of our ancient granthas are happy with the translations. Okay, I don't think I have time or patience for this is another thing. Okay, wait. You don't have to give those excuses. You already know a lot. Okay, Sindhi, Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, Bangla, Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, all of them use, even Tamil, use plenty Samskritam. Okay, in different proportions. Why? Because Samskritam has the power to generate words, and that power is used to enrich all Indian languages. So we may not use the Samskritam vibhaktis, we may not use the Samskritam dhatus, but we definitely use Samskritam namapadas a lot. Okay, so plenty we already know. Because namapadas are dhatu based, we already almost know the dhatus. So it's a very easy climb, not at all difficult. Okay, I started my own fresh journey in the past decade, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. You definitely too can do it. And one thing I can proudly say to the detractors who say studying something like Samskritam is like ignoring your mother tongue, it can be the most stupid statement. Because if not my Samskritam, my Kannada is sure much better now. Because it is so much dependent on Samskritam, I can actually use more intelligent words and belt out my Kannada. Okay. And many people stop and ask me, did you do MA Kannada? Are you speaking like that? No, I say I am just doing MA Samskritam, that's why I can speak Kannada better. And this was said by no other than the great Kannada author called Bhairappa. Bhairappa said, my Kannada is good because I studied Samskritam. He told this in a public this thing. And he said, though I can't speak, I know Samskritam, but my wife can speak because she came to Samskrit Bharati and learnt it. I didn't come to Samskrit Bharati, I learnt it from books. So I know it as a language of books, not as a speech. He was sad about that and was telling hopefully he will learn to speak it too. Okay. Speaking and learning in a bookish way are two different things. So it's important we learn to speak also. Okay. Now, in order not to scare you but to invite you, let me lead you to a Samskritam story. Okay, a story in Samskritam, a story that's very old and ancient, definitely also present in Samskritam, which we all know. Let us learn it in Samskritam. Okay, Chaturaha Kakaha, Chaturaha Kakaha, Ghore Aranye. महान् घोरः अरण्यः घोरे अरण्ये एकः काकः जीवति स्म जीवनं करोति स्म जीवति स्म एकदिने एकस्मिन् दिने एकदिने काकः सः काकः आहाराय बहुदूरं गतः उड्डयनं कृत्वा बहुदूरं गतः सः काकः सूर्यः प्रज्वलति धूपतापे काकः बहुश्रान्तः धूपतापे सूर्यस्य धूपतापे काकः बहुश्रान्तः अभवत् काकस्य अतीव पिपासा जलं कुत्र अस्ति इति काकः चिन्तयति जलं कुत्र अस्ति मम पिपासा जलं कुत्र इति चिन्तयति काकः तत्र पश्यति तत्र जलं नास्ति काकः अत्र पश्यति अत्रापि जलं नास्ति जलं सर्वत्र नास्ति जलं कुत्रापि नास्ति अधः एकः घटः अस्ति काकः घटं पश्यति ओहो घटम् अस्ति इति पश्यति परन्तु घटे किञ्चित् एव जलम् अधः अस्ति किञ्चित् जलम् अधः अस्ति काकः चञ्चुना जलं पातुं न शक्तः काकः किं करणीयम् काकः कुपितः अभवत् ओ जलं पातुम् अशक्तः अहं कोपः मम कुपितः अभवत् कोपेन शिलाखण्डं पातयति घटस्य उपरि शिलाखण्डं पातयति काकः किं भवति अदृष्टवशात् शिलाखण्डः घटे पतति अदृष्टवशात् शिलाखण्डः घटस्य अन्ते एव पतति जलं किञ्चित् उपरि आगच्छति काकः पश्यति जलं किञ्चित् उपरि आगच्छति ओहो काकः चिन्तयति एकः उपायः स्फुरति काकः पुनः बहूनि शिलाखण्डानि घटे पातयति जलम् उपरि आगच्छति काकः सन्तोषेण चञ्चुना जलं पिबति काकः हर्षेण जलं पीत्वा उड्डयते पुनः स्वगृहं गच्छति पुनः वनं प्रति स्वगृहं प्रति गच्छति काकः एतदेव so very easy I'm sure you guys picked up of course the story that we know but if we can teach our children like this Samskritam is a native language okay Samskritam was the lingua franca of Bharat for millennia okay it lived and prospered alongside the myriads of Prakrit and other local languages providing a rich vocabulary to all its sister languages with its amazing technique of coding nouns and enhancing verbs to twist and fit them into every possible necessary finesse one needs in life. It enabled intelligent discourse and debates, thus keeping the diasporas progressive and open-minded. So you can have a Shankara traveling from the south all the way to the Kashmir and down back creating many mathas. Okay, because Samskrita was the lingua franca of all the kingdoms of India, and he was not harmed. Okay, he was an intellectual person who traveled with no harm intended, nor was he harmed. He was welcomed. Arguments happened everywhere, debates happened everywhere, because they could also speak Sanskritam, unified them. Its beautiful structure lent itself to artistic coding of thoughts and teachings, and nudged us towards a scientific and philosophical bent of mind. Nothing can be further from the truth than this. If the language is rich, it will encourage you and nudge you into scientific and philosophical bent of mind, because language is our breath. Human breath is language. Okay, and it's unfortunate that in the recent centuries of occupation, Sanskritam receded from the minds and mouths of our people, even of the literati, due to the covert and overt influences and the compulsions of the times. Not we have to largely blame ourselves also. Even the schools where it was and is offered as a language adopted dry and uninteresting ways of teaching it, only helping to alienate the few who dared yet to try and learn it, like I did up till my 12th grade. With the efforts of organizations like Samskrita Bharati, Rashtriya Samskrita Samsthana, and many others, I just named Veda Vijnana Gurukula, where my Guru Varya has arrived from, and from Vyoma Samskrita group, etc. A great revival is afoot to reintroduce Sanskritam as a living language in the tongues and minds of our youth and elders alike. Okay, so now let's stop for okay, maybe I will say this terminal prayer and then we can stop for question answers, or we can do this in the end. I guess most beneficial to do it in the end. So I'll stop here for questions, pause here for questions, and welcome questions from you guys. You can unmute and ask them, please.
Thank you so much, Anuj. It was really fantastic. The way you spoke about Sanskrit and related it to phonetics, linguistics, architecture, music, dance, health, everything. Amazing. It was really amazing. And you have motivated me to really start learning the language. Even the story was very interesting and we were able to understand it so well. Thank you so much. And now it's open to questions. Anyone who wants to ask a question, please do so. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sir, I have a question. Thank you for a wonderful talk. Sir, we all know that so many Indo-European languages, including English, have so many words similar to Sanskrit. So it is we all understand that the original language is Sanskrit, from where it has been derived. But have those European countries acknowledged that these words have come from Sanskrit?
Very much. They have in their dictionaries clearly traced the origins of their words. They usually trace it back to, for example, Latin origin, Greek origin, and Sanskrit origin. Okay, sometimes they stop at Greek or Latin because that's easy and convenient enough, and if we go back further from Latin, we can see the similarity in and the origins and commonality with Sanskritam. There is of course lot of argument whether it is Sanskritam or whether there was actually another mother language and Sanskritam is its daughter, etc. We don't have to worry about the negative thoughts there, but they do trace it back to Sanskritam. It's very common. If you are viewing the spelling bee competitions in US, some of the tough words that come there, you will see they actually, when they explain the word, sometimes the kids ask, no, what is the origin of the word? You will actually, if you see them, they will explain this is originating from the Sanskritam word such and such. In certain places, that's also announced proudly.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
I have two questions. My first question is, your biodata says you are really emphasizing on spoken language. of Sanskrit, and there is a revolutionary way of teaching. So, what is this revolutionary way of teaching?
Very good. Actually, I think when the introducer introduced, she was too graceful to say as if I almost. No, it was not my revolution. I am part of that revolution as a volunteer. Samskrita Bharati very early recognized. Actually, it was formed in the 80s in Bangalore again, proudly for us.
Read in the Google 1981 by two college students. So it is 40 years old. I read about both. Your Pune Institute also very impressive.
Very nice. Thank you, sir. So, what they did was they found that people are getting turned off because the kids are being made to mug Rama Rama Urama Ramam Rama Uraman. For a while, it is entertaining. Actually, at the age they teach, it is not. If we start teaching at first standard those things, those kids will enjoy it because for them such rhyming things are easily they enjoy it if you teach it in the correct tone. But we don't teach Rama Rama Ramaha to the first year olds or the nursery kids. We teach it to 7th standard kids, 8th standard kids. They won't appreciate it at that time. Already their brains are little overheated with unwanted teachings that they are being taught. So that is the first thing this group recognized. Look, we can't make it ratana abhyasa. If we have to teach Samskritam and the students that we get are more or less high school onwards or adult students, we cannot have ratana or what we call mugging up type of approach and then coming to the grammar and all that nonsense. I said, hey, how is a language to be taught? By speaking it. Speak, 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 speak. Make the kids or the students speak it. Demonstrate everything with Samskritam, but use very simple Samskritam. Don't complicate it. Don't try to show your panditya. So they formulated a series of a 10-day program they coined. They called it Dasha Dina Shibiram. Okay, so 2 hours to 2.5 hours per day. They very much focused on having a good long session with one break in between. Okay, and this 40-minute piddly they found is wasteful. Half the thing is forgotten. Next day you have to restart. First 20 minutes goes in remembering what was told last class, and so on and so forth. So for them, 2.5 hours was critical. 10 continuous days or maybe with a weekend break was critical. And they designed a course where the teachers are taught how to teach, what points to teach, how to speak what you are teaching, how to use examples, how to make the students participate and give their own answers, how to be very collaborative and interactive, not let them sleep, not make it one way like my lecture today. So this they have created and engineered a beautiful Shibira. Once that happens, even they have managed to teach, for example, shopkeepers, auto rickshaw drivers have attended these to learn Samskritam. Okay, proudly they at the end of the Shibira they start being able to speak basic Samskritam, and they get kindled into now let me find out what is more there, whether I can read Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, etc. Those interests kindle. For that they have additional courses, postal courses, Bhagavad Gita based 4-level courses available, beautiful books, very cheaply they have published, and their whole goal is not profit. It's clearly run out of volunteer effort, volunteer donations, voluntary donations, etc. It's that's what is the revolution.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. My second question is, being a Tamilian, most Tamilians find it very difficult, this four ka, four ja, four ta, four, on all Indian languages. So they find it very difficult, and all. We don't have like that.
No. I
So
mean,
how do
yeah,
you really
obviously, the one of the first efforts. In fact, I actually all my students, whenever I see pronunciation difficulties, I make them mouth the practice the sounds correctly, so that once they start hearing, they can actually start speaking it. It's a difficult thing in adults to relearn the new sounds. Just as for example, even a Kannadiga is stumped by all the nasal variations of nya you have in Tamil. Though I am in 800 years ago, my forefathers also walked in from upstream of Kaveri and came from Tamil Nadu. My Tamil is very poor because I am a Kannadiga for 800 years we have been Kannadigas. So just like we have difficulty with your sounds, you will have difficulty with the new sounds of Sanskritam and the northern languages. It's not too difficult. Please let it not be the barrier. That's all I would pray to you.
Any other
I
questions?
yes, Sajni, it's not a question, it's just a statement. This is Malti here. I just wanted to tell you that here in Bangalore, the Oromira International School, the children from LKG are taught the few basic words in Sanskrit. And most of them, I believe, are learning to speak quite well by the time they come into class 4 or 5. And the Aurobindo Ashram in Pondicherry, as everyone knows, that the most of the students are interacting only in spoken Sanskrit. So this is just something that I know about because my grandson studies in Oromira, so that's how I know.
Excellent, nice
I
to
need
know,
to.
ma'am. There are many gurukulas. For example, in Srirangapattanam, there is a person who got bored with worldly way of living, moved back and started a gurukulam for specifically for girl students. Okay, for underprivileged girl students, he started a gurukulam where the gurukulam is run as a Sanskrit gurukulam, but the students learn normal courses in outside colleges also. They go attend those things, but when they come back home to the gurukulam, the home is Sanskritam. And I had the fortune of interacting with these young damsels in one of the Sanskrit Bharati camps, and I was like amazed with what ease they were speaking excellent Sanskritam. It put us to shame. I mean, they were brilliant. So this is happening, and I just love it. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, Tajni, I have a question.
Let's go ahead.
Yeah. Namaste, Valmiki ji. That was very nice.
Namaste.
I have a question based on my experience with yoga, because in our yoga class we would chant the Omkara, which had the 3 syllables, Akara, Ukara, and Makara, and of course the silent syllable that comes after that. And what we were told was every time you chant the Omkara, if you do it honestly, you will raise your consciousness. You can feel the vibrations going from the lower chakras to the higher chakras. Then after many years of practicing this, one day one of the masters was saying that you would be surprised to know that actually speaking Sanskritam correctly also has the same effect on you. I just want to know if your research corroborates this.
I'm not actually such a subject matter expert on the particular question you're asking, but definitely I will, if you remember let me just share that slide. Okay. 1 minute. I have to park this, I guess, because it's blocking me. Just give me some time. Yeah.
Sure.
So here, if you go back. Okay, see, you look at this. The language is constructed out of carefully chosen pronunciations based on using all the mouth parts and also noticing the breath aspect in those, etc. So once the language has been so carefully constructed at the very primary letter level with breath also into it, it is essentially designed so that you can effortlessly speak in this language for hours with minimum energy spent, and breathing happening as part of that process, especially when it is in verse form. The verses have the yati and the pauses at the right place, etc., to enable breathe in, breathe out as a practice without any extra effort. So that's why you can see the Vedic Pandits, if you go actually to the very few who are still practicing it. Some of these recitals of Vedic Granthas go on for the whole day with very short breaks. And those people don't even sweat. They don't even sweat. They are in full alto, in the loudest voice, they are chanting. They are not even sweating. Just listening to it, we sweat. Okay?
Yes.
That is because of that sadhana, which this language allows. Yeah.
So there is a possibility that by speaking the language, you can raise your consciousness.
I don't doubt it, but I haven't benefited like you have. I'm happy to see that you have. Yeah.
Oh,
At least I haven't
thank
known
you.
the benefits. Indirectly, it may be benefiting me.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ramesh, your question really led to some of this explanation by our speaker. So now I am thinking Gayatri Mantra chanting will definitely elevate the consciousness.
Absolutely, sir. Yes, yes. It's a very nice metric mantra, easy to remember, and many a times, though there are rules as to how you have to sit and practice it at certain times, there is nothing wrong to mentally churn that mantra in any situation. For example, if you are instead of counting numbers to get sleep, you can you can recite some mantras in the mind, and that's nice way. Yeah.
Any other questions, or we'll go to the Sahana Vavatu?
Okay, so I think we will conclude. It's been a very long session. So let's pray. As usual, this prayer is from one of the Vedic Upanishads. It's there in multiple Vedic Upanishads. So this is actually a prayer, but joint prayer by the Guru and the Shishya. So it's actually in Dvivachana. As you know, Samskritam is one unique language with a special form for two people. Okay, so it has singular, dual, and multiple. So this uses Dvivachana because Guru and Shishya together are praying. सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. So may we be together, may we enjoy together, may we do good things together, may we become tejasvi and knowledgeable, may we not hate. This is the prayer, beautiful prayer. Okay, very universal prayer. There is no particular God being called, it is just calling for us to practice certain things and then asking for peace in the end. Okay, so with this I conclude my talk. I thank the lovely organization. It's so lovely to see you guys active this way, and I am very glad to have been a small part of it today. And my best wishes to all of you. If any of you are, if your organization wishes to have a Sanskrit class in the future, if there is an interest, I am most willing volunteer to help out. Okay, online or
There is a
otherwise.
question in the chat.
Okay, please kindly read it. I don't have that on my screen. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Details of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, there is only comments. Thank you for the lovely comments. Okay. Surabhi. Surabhi is somebody I personally know. Just today I came to know that one of your
Man, she
organized.
wants to learn Gita. Where to go and
Yes.
learn, she is asking.
Oh, she wants to learn Gita. Okay. See, there are Samskrita Bharati is individually not focused on Shastric text teaching. It is focused on the language aspect. But as somewhere as part of that, you could potentially learn Bhagavad Gita because they have books of Sanskritam grammar based on Bhagavad Gita. But the intent is to more teach the grammar of Sanskritam than teach Bhagavad Gita there. Best is to go to well-known institutes. Even ISKCON does a lot of Gita classes, both for bhajan. There are also many Gita societies in many surroundings. I will try to dig some information and share with you where many ladies gather and do Gita chanting and such things. It can also be an opportunity. Samskrita Bharati doesn't directly do Ratanakriya, Samskrita Gita, such things. Sometimes they hold festivals of reading such things where people who practice such thing comes to Samskrita Bharati and carry out some program for general people like us to go and participate, but that's not their primary focus. So yeah.
Right. So thank you. And now I request Mr. Ramesh to kindly propose a vote of thanks and end with the Loka Samasta.
Thank you, Sajni. Um, Valmiki ji, your name, first of all, is very apt for this, because we've heard of the great Valmiki Muni from Ramayana fame. So you have introduced us to the concept of spreading the message of Sanskrit across Bharat, which is what it always was in the distant past. And just to kind of look through the notes that I jotted down, you covered so many things. The beauty of Sanskrit is used in so many areas like poetics, grammar, health, wisdom, dharma, music, dance, architecture. So and of course, I mean, you even kind of introduced us to the idea of popularizing or getting us acclimatized to the language through a story, which I remember my guru would oftentimes say, that the story is the best way to you know to transfer wisdom, because it is so nice for people to get involved and engrossed in stories. And I must also say that whatever I mentioned about speaking the language and raising one's consciousness is probably the need of the hour for our country, because as per predictions, India will be amongst the top nations in the years to come very soon. And it is only through delving back into our rich spiritual history, which is kind of the wisdom of which is transferred through Sanskrit, that we will create leaders for the future. So I'm very passionate about the idea. I dream of a time very soon in India where Sanskrit becomes the national language, and the benefits of which will pass on to many countries, especially starting with us, not just Germany and these kind of places. So thank you so much for your efforts that that you've done, that you've put in so far. I do hope that more of us are inspired. We'd love to keep in touch, so please do also share your number. And thank you so much for your yeoman service.